Technology Acceptance Model. The Technology Acceptance Model, TAM, is an information systems theory that models how users come to accept and use a technology. The actual system uses the endpoint where we want everyone to be able to do with technology, so we have to form behavioral intention, which is a factor that leads people to use the technology. The behavioral intention, B, is influenced by the attitude, A, which is the general impression of the technology. The model suggests that when users are presented with a new technology, a number of factors influence their decision about how and when they will use it, notably. External variables such as social influence is an important factor to determine the attitude. When these things, TAM, are in place, people will have the attitude and intention to use the technology. However, the perception may change depending on age and gender because everyone is different. The TAM has been continuously studied and expanded, the two major upgrades being the TAM2, Venkatesh and Davis 2000 and Venkatesh 2000, and the Unified Theory of Acceptance and Use of Technology, or UTAUT, Venkatesh et al. 2003. A TAM3 has also been proposed in the context of e-commerce with an inclusion of the effects of trust and perceived risk on system use, Venkatesh and Bala 2008. Background. TAM is one of the most influential extensions of Eisen and Fishbane's theory of reasoned action, TRA, in the literature. Davis's Technology Acceptance Model, Davis, 1989, Davis, Bagotzi, and Warshaw, 1989, is the most widely applied model of users' acceptance and usage of technology, Venkatesh, 2000. It was developed by Fred Davis and Richard Bagotzi, Davis 1989, Bagotzi, Davis and Warshaw 1992. TAM replaces many of TRA's attitude measures with the two technology acceptance measures, ease of use, and usefulness. TRA and TAM, both of which have strong behavioral elements, assume that when someone forms an intention to act, that they will be free to act without limitation. In the real world there will be many constraints, such as limited freedom to act, Bagotzi, Davis and Warshaw 1992. Bagotzi, Davis and Warshaw say. Earlier research on the diffusion of innovations also suggested a prominent role for perceived ease of use. Tornadzki and Klein, 1982, analyzed the adoption, finding that compatibility, relative advantage, and complexity had the most significant relationships with adoption across a broad range of innovation types. Eason studied perceived usefulness in terms of a fit between systems, tasks and job profiles, using the terms task fit to describe the metric, quoted in Stewart 1986, Legree, Ingham and Colliret 2003 suggest that TAM must be extended to include variables that account for change processes and that this could be achieved through adoption of the innovation model into TAM. Usage. Several researchers have replicated Davis's original study, Davis 1989, to provide empirical evidence on the relationships that exist between usefulness, ease of use and system use. Adams, Nelson and Todd 1992, Davis 1989, Hendrickson, Massey and Cronin 1993, Segers and Grover 1993, Subramanian 1994, Sina 1994. Much attention has focused on testing the robustness and validity of the questionnaire instrument used by Davis. Adams et al. Adams 1992 Harvenberger, No Target, Sitarif Adams 1992, Help, replicated the work of Davis, Davis 1989, to demonstrate the validity and reliability of his instrument and his measurement scales. They also extended it to different settings and, using two different samples, they demonstrated the internal consistency and replication reliability of the two scales. Hendrickson et al. Hendrickson, Massey and Cronin 1993, found high reliability and good test-retest reliability. Sina 1994, found that the instrument had predictive validity for intent to use, self-reported usage and attitude toward use. The sum of this research has confirmed the validity of the Davis instrument, and to support its use with different populations of users and different software choices. Segers and Grover 1993, re-examined Adams et al.'s, Adams, Nelson and Todd 1992, replication of the Davis work. They were critical of the measurement model used, and postulated a different model based on three constructs: usefulness, effectiveness, and ease of use. These findings do not yet seem to have been replicated. However, some aspects of these findings were tested and supported by Workman 2007, by separating the dependent variable into information use versus technology use. Mark Kyle and his colleagues have developed, or perhaps rendered more popularizable, Davis's model into what they call the usefulness/a grid, which is a 2x2 grid where each quadrant represents a different combination of the two attributes. In the context of software use, this provides a mechanism for discussing the current mix of usefulness and if a particular software packages, and for plotting a different course if a different mix is desired, such as the introduction of even more powerful software. Kyle, Beranek and Konsinski 1995. The TAM model has been used in most technological and geographic contexts. One of these contexts is healthcare, which is growing rapidly. Venkatesh and Davis extended the original TAM model to explain perceived usefulness and usage intentions in terms of social influence, subjective norms, voluntariness, image, and cognitive instrumental processes, job relevance, output quality, result demonstrability, perceived ease of use. The extended model, referred to as TAM2, was tested in both voluntary and mandatory settings. The results strongly supported TAM2, Venkatesh and Davis 2000. In an attempt to integrate the main competing user acceptance models, Venkatesh et al. Formulated the unified theory of acceptance and use of technology, UTAUT. This model was found to outperform each of the individual models, adjusted R-square of 69%, Venkatesh et al. 2003. UTAUT has been adopted by some recent studies in healthcare. Alternative models. Criticisms. TAM has been widely criticized, despite its frequent use, leading the original proposers to attempt to redefine it several times. Criticisms of TAM as a theory include its questionable heuristic value, limited explanatory and predictive power, triviality, and lack of any practical value. Charter 2009. Ben Baysat and Barkey suggest that TAM has diverted researchers' attention away from other important research issues and has created an illusion of progress in knowledge accumulation. Furthermore, the independent attempts by several researchers to expand TAM in order to adapt it to the constantly changing IT environments has led to a state of theoretical chaos and confusion. Ben Baysat and Barkey 2007. In general, TAM focuses on the individual user of a computer, with the concept of perceived usefulness, with extension to bring in more and more factors to explain how a user perceives usefulness, and ignores the essentially social processes of his development and implementation, without question where more technology is actually better, and the social consequences of his use. Lunsford argues that the framework of perceived usefulness and ease of use overlooks other issues, such as cost and structural imperatives that force users into adopting the technology. For a recent analysis and critique of TAM, see Bagotzi 2007. Legree et al. Claim that, together, TAM and TAM2 account for only 40% of a technological system's use. Perceived ease of use is less likely to be a determinant of attitude and usage intention according to studies of telemedicine. Hu et al. 1999 Havenberger, No Target, Sitari Fuchao Sheng TAM 1999, Help, Mobile Commerce, Wu and Wang 2005, and Online Banking, Pickering in 2004 Havenberger, No Target, Sitari Pickering in 2004, Help.